People often think that life changes with big events. An accident, a huge loss, a dramatic decision. But for Mark, everything changed because of one small mistake. At that time, Mark was 22 years old. He was not rich. He was not famous. But he was hopeful. He believed his future was bright. Mark had plans. Simple plans. Finish his studies. Find a stable job. Help his family. Build a normal life. Nothing extreme. Nothing risky. One evening, after a long and stressful day, Mark felt tired. His mind was loud. Thoughts moved fast. I deserve a break, he told himself. Just this once. That sentence sounded harmless, but it was dangerous. Psychologists say impulsive decisions often come when emotions are high and thinking is low. That night, Mark did not stop to think. He did not ask himself, what will this cost me later? Instead, he followed the feeling of the moment, the feeling of escape, the feeling of relief. He made a choice that took less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes slowly destroyed 10 years of his life. At first, nothing seemed wrong. The decision felt small, almost invisible. Mark even smiled. He thought he was still in control. But the brain works in silent ways. Impulsive actions create patterns. Patterns become habits. Habits become identity. Mark didn't know this yet. He didn't know that one emotional choice had already changed the direction of his future. That night, he went to sleep peacefully. No fear, no regret, only comfort. But sometimes, the most dangerous mistakes feel comfortable at the beginning, and the price comes later, much later. At first, Mark did not notice any damage. Life continued. He woke up. He went to classes. He laughed with friends. Everything looked normal. But inside his brain, something had changed. The human brain loves comfort. It remembers what feels good and tries to repeat it. That small decision from the night before created a shortcut in Mark's mind. When stress appeared, his brain whispered, "Do it again. It helped last time." Mark listened, not because he was weak, but because he was human. Each time he repeated the behavior, it became easier. Less thinking, less resistance. Psychologists call this automatic behavior. The brain saves energy by repeating familiar actions. Mark started using this escape more often. After a bad day, after an argument, after failure, he told himself, "It's not serious. I can stop anytime." That is how many long-term problems begin. Slowly, silently. Mark's focus changed. Before, he could study for hours. Now his mind felt tired faster. His sleep became irregular. His motivation dropped. Still, no alarm bells rang. Because the damage was not loud. It was quiet. Friends noticed small changes. "You seem distracted," one said. Mark laughed it off. "I'm just tired." Inside, his brain was learning a dangerous lesson. Avoid pain. Choose comfort. Think later. This is how impulsive decisions shape the brain. Not in one day, but over time. Mark didn't know it yet, but he had already started paying the price. Not with money, not with reputation, but with time. And time is the most expensive cost. The problem with bad decisions is not how they start, is how long they stay hidden. Mark's life did not collapse overnight. It slowly leaked away. Weeks turned into months. His grades dropped slightly. Not enough to panic, but enough to matter. He stopped pushing himself. Later, he said, "I'll fix it later." But later never came. His brain had learned a new rule. Short relief is better than long effort. Mark began to avoid difficult tasks. When something felt hard, he escaped. When pressure came, he distracted himself. This affected his confidence. Small failures stacked up. Each one whispered, "Maybe you're not as capable as you thought." Mark still looked fine from the outside. He smiled. He joked. He pretended. But inside, frustration grew. He felt behind. Friends moved forward. They got opportunities. They improved. Mark stayed in the same place. He started comparing himself to others. Comparison increased stress. Stress increased impulsive behavior. The cycle tightened. Psychology calls this a negative feedback loop. One bad choice creates stress. Stress leads to more bad choices. Mark felt tired all the time. Not physically, mentally. He wanted to change. But change felt heavy. Comfort felt easy. That is how impulsive decisions slowly steal ambition. not with force, but with patience. Mark was losing something important. Not his future yet, but his belief in himself. And without belief, effort feels useless. Every bad habit asks for payment. At first, the cost is small. Later, it becomes serious. Mark felt the first real loss one morning. He checked his email. There it was. A short message. Cold. Formal. He had failed an important exam. Not by much. Just a few points. But those few points changed everything. This exam was not just about grades. It was connected to a future opportunity. A program. A chance. Mark sat quietly. No anger. No soak. Just emptiness. He told himself, it's not the end. But deep down, he knew something was wrong. He thought about the nights he escaped instead of studying. The moments he chose comfort over effort. For the first time, the past decision felt heavy. He tried to fix things. He made plans. He promised himself to focus. But his brain resisted. Focus felt uncomfortable now. Discipline felt painful. This is how impulsive decisions change the brain. They make discipline feel like danger, and comfort feel like safety. Mark struggled. He pushed for a few days, then slipped again. Guilt followed. Guilt created stress. Stress demanded escape. The loop continued. The loss affected his confidence. He avoided conversations about the future. He felt ashamed, not because others blamed him, but because he blamed himself. This was the moment Mark realized. The mistake was not just one night. The mistake was repeating it. And now, the price was no longer invisible. After the first loss, Mark changed. Not suddenly, but noticeably. He stopped trying as hard. Deep inside, a quiet thought appeared. What's the point? When effort does not bring results, the brain looks for shortcuts. Mark started skipping responsibilities. Small ones at first. A missed class. A delayed task. An ignored message. Each skipped duty made the next one easier to skip. Control slowly slipped from his hands. He felt tired even before starting. Discipline felt like a heavy weight. Comfort felt like relief. This is how impulsive behavior takes control. Not by force, but by offering an easy way out. Mark's routine collapsed. His sleep was late. His mornings were rushed. His days felt empty. He began to feel disconnected from his own life, like he was watching himself fail from the outside. Friends tried to help. Just focus, they said. You're smart. But intelligence was not the problem. Control was. Mark knew what to do. He just couldn't make himself do it. Psychology calls this loss of self-regulation. When impulses become stronger than intention. This was the moment Mark realized. He was no longer making decisions. His habits were making them for him. And habits do not care about dreams. They only care about comfort. Mark was afraid, not of failure, but of becoming someone he didn't respect. Mark did not fall all at once. He slipped, again and again, until one day, he looked around and did not recognize his life. He was no longer moving forward. He was surviving. Barely. Opportunities passed him by, not because they disappeared, but because Mark stopped reaching for them. He missed deadlines. He ignored calls. He avoided responsibility. Avoidance became his main skill. Inside his mind, a silent fear grew. What if this is who I am now? That thought scared him more than failure. One evening, Mark sat alone in his room. The lights were off. The phone screen was bright. Hours passed without him noticing. His brain was numb. No joy. No pain. Just emptiness. Psychologists say this is what happens when impulsive pleasure replaces purpose. The brain gets tired. Dopamine drops. Motivation disappears. Mark felt ashamed. Not in front of others. In front of himself. He remembered the person he wanted to be. Focused. Disciplined. Reliable. That person felt far away. Almost like a stranger. Mark finally admitted the truth. One small mistake had not ruined his life. Ignoring it had. For the first time, he stopped blaming stress. He stopped blaming bad luck. He looked at the pattern, and the pattern pointed back to him. This moment hurt, but it was honest. And honesty is painful before it is powerful. Mark didn't know how to fix everything yet. But for the first time in years, he stopped running. Admitting the problem did not solve it. It only opened the door. The next morning, Mark woke up early. Not because he felt motivated, but because he felt tired of himself. He decided to try something small. No big plans. No dramatic promises. Just one controlled action. He put his phone away. That simple move felt uncomfortable. His mind resisted. Thoughts rushed in. Just 5 minutes. You deserve a break. It doesn't matter. Mark recognized that voice. It was the same voice that led him here. Psychology calls this the impulse voice. It speaks fast. It wants comfort now. It hates effort. Mark did not argue with it. He did not fight it. He ignored it. This was new. Ignoring impulses felt painful, but also powerful. For the first time, Mark felt control returning. Not fully, but slightly. He focused for 20 minutes. Just 20. When the urge came back, he paused. He breathed. He waited. The urge passed. This surprised him. He learned something important. Impulses are strong, but they're temporary. They feel permanent, but they are not. That day was not perfect. Mark slipped once, then twice, but he noticed something different. He returned faster. Less guilt, more awareness. Change did not feel good yet, but felt real. And for someone who had lost control, real was enough. Mark stopped waiting for motivation. He learned something important. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. He focused on small wins. Very small. Waking up on time. Finishing one task. Saying no to one impulse. These actions did not change his life instantly, but they changed him. Each small win rebuilt trust with himself. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, the belief that I can control my actions. Mark still felt urges. The difference was awareness. When the impulse appeared, he named it. This is the old pattern. Naming it gave him space. Space to choose. Not every day was good. Some days were heavy. On those days, Mark reminded himself, progress is not perfection. The brain needs time to rewire. Slowly, his focus improved. His energy returned in small waves. People noticed. You seem more present, someone said. Mark smiled, not because he felt successful, but because he felt honest. He started planning again. Not big dreams. Next steps. Real steps. For the first time in years, the future did not feel scary. It felt possible. Mark understood something powerful. The same brain that learns bad habits can learn discipline too. It just needs patience. Recovery is not a straight line. Mark learned this the hard way. One stressful week changed everything. Deadlines returned. Pressure increased. Old emotions came back. And with them, the old impulse. The voice was familiar. You're tired. You deserve relief. Just this once. Mark paused. This moment felt bigger than before. Not because the urge was stronger, but because the meaning was heavier. He knew the truth now. This choice was not about comfort. It was about identity. Who are you becoming? The old Mark would escape. The new Mark felt fear, but stayed present. He remembered the damage, the lost time, the shame, the emptiness. But he also remembered the small wins, the control, the clarity, the quiet confidence. Mark did something different. He delayed the impulse. 10 minutes. He moved his body. He wrote his thoughts down. The urge weakened, then disappeared. Mark exhaled, not in victory, in relief. That night, he realized something deep. Self-control is not about being strong all the time. It is about choosing long-term respect over short-term comfort. That choice does not feel heroic. It feels uncomfortable, but it defines who you are. Mark slept well that night, not because life was easy, but because he stayed true to himself. 10 years were not destroyed by one mistake. They were shaped by ignoring it. Mark did not become perfect. He still failed sometimes. But now he noticed faster. He corrected earlier. That changed everything. Life slowly moved forward again. Not in big jumps, in steady steps. Mark rebuilt discipline the same way he lost it. One decision at a time. He understood a final truth. Bad decisions are loud. Good decisions are quiet. No applause. No excitement. Just consistency. The real danger was never the mistake. It was the habit of choosing comfort when responsibility was needed. Mark stopped fearing failure. He feared repeat behavior more, because repetition creates identity, and identity shapes destiny. Years later, Mark looked back, not with regret, with respect. He didn't save 10 years perfectly, but he saved the rest of his life. And that was enough.